Hey guys, my name is Ethan, this is Carberra, and welcome to the series where I teach you how to build a game in Python. Today we are going to be kind of setting up the game. We're going to be creating the window. That's pretty much the first thing you need to do with any Pygame project. We're also going to be creating a client that kind of runs everything. So we're going to be running everything from a file, and we're going to be setting up kind of a little object that handles the main loop. And we're going to be obviously creating the window object as well with a few helpful functions that will help us along the way. Of course, if you find the video helpful at any point, then consider liking to let me know and subscribing so you don't miss out on future videos in the series. But yeah, with that out of the way, let's get into it. And we are back in our IDE to actually do some coding. This is the first one I'm going to do some coding, of course. I'm going to be essentially just kind of getting the main things ready, so kind of the boilerplate code. We're going to be creating a window. It's not going to be anything too spectacular, but obviously you need this before you can do anything else. So it's very important. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new file, and we're going to call it snack.pyw. Of course, I said in the introduction the game is called Snack, so we're calling our file Snack just because you can call it anything you want, really. We're making it a pyw file. Essentially, the difference between a py and a pyw file is that when you double click on a .py file, a console window will open up. When you double click on a .pyw file, no console window will come up. So it's better for graphical applications, basically. You can still run it as a terminal command, and it will, output if you have print statements or whatever. But it's just kind of easier for graphical stuff if you use pyws. So next we're going to create a folder, and this is where all our game files are going to be. We're also going to call this Snack, but you can call this anything you want. You can even call it something different to this, just so long as you import everything correctly and it's all kind of, working fine, then it'll be fine. So we're going to make a few files here, the first of which is going to be in init.py. Make sure either side of the init you have double underscores and you spell init with one N, not two. Those have been common mistakes in the support server, so I just thought I'd point that out. So we're going to set our window width. We're essentially going to set a load of constants here. Well, I say a load, there's a few. So we're going to set the window width equals 1280. The window height equals 720. If I could actually... That's not how you spell height. Yeah, we're just going to make the game in 720 just for demonstration purposes. You can make it in whatever resolution you want. It doesn't matter at all. And we're going to have our window caption equals snack. Again, you can call it whatever you want. And then we're going to do from .window import window, and from .client import clients. If your editor or your linter or whatever is giving you errors at this point, just ignore them. We're going to be building these things as we go. But I just thought I'd put those in there so we knew what we were doing. So next one is the actual window itself we're going to be making. So that's going to be called window.py. And we are going to be, if I can find my mouse, wherever that's gone, there it is. We're going to be importing Pygame as PG. You don't have to import it as PG. As far as I can tell, this is sort of a standard, sort of not. I can't really tell, but it does make code a little bit cleaner to do it as PG. I'm used to data science stuff where you import everything as an alias, so why not? You can just import it as standard Pygame if it's easier for you. So we're going to go down here, we're going to create a window, and we're going to give it some slots. Now, for those of you that haven't seen slots before, I'll probably do a video of it at some point, but a brief rundown is that you are defining which variables can be defined in this, or which attributes the object can have. So if you try and define something, say self.foo, and you haven't put foo in the slots, it'll just say that you can't do it. This just increases the efficiency of the program, both the memory efficiency and the speed efficiency. For something like the window object, it's not necessarily, it's not ultra necessary. Oh goodness, what happened to my voice just there? But with gaming, obviously you want to have every optimization you can, and using these slots, especially on something like sprites and whatever, where you're going to be spawning in multiple of them, is a really good way to speed your program up. Because it doesn't make much difference for one object, but over a million it is going to make a difference. So in here we're just going to set, width, height, and I'm going to call it surf. This is basically the surface. We'll just call it surface straight up. Why not? We'll be explicit about it. So we're going to make our init method. Sorry, I almost called it a function. The cardinal sin. And we're going to pass in our width. We're going to pass in our height, and we're going to pass in the caption, and we're going to set this default argument, why not, to Pygame tutorial. You know, just in case you don't feel like passing a whatever through. And we're going to have self.width equals width, self.height equals height, and then self.surface equals surface. And I'm considering, actually, you know what, we're going to make this self.w and self.h instead. My plan has width and height, but other objects use w and h instead, so we're just going to keep it consistent. And we're going to do pg.display.set caption to the caption. Also, it's not self.surface equals surface. It's pg, oh, I've got caps lock on, pg.display.set mode, width and height. We're just going to leave it like that for now. If you want it full screen, as far as I can tell, Pygame 2 doesn't have a separate full screen mode. But if you want it full screen, you could just change the resolution here to the resolution of your screen. So for me, it would be 1920 by 1080, and it will make it, you know, windowed borderless or something, is what they call it in games nowadays. But I don't think that Pygame has native full screen anymore. I couldn't get it to work. I don't know. But yeah, if you just scale it to the screen resolution, it will just take up the whole thing and it will appear full screen. So that's fine. We are going to be coming back to this line later in the video, but for now we're just going to move on. We're going to define a property. We're going to define its size, and we're just going to have, you know, return self.w, self.height, always a useful thing to have. It's called size, not sizer. And then we're going to have our blit function. So we're going to take a blit and we're going to take a sprite. And we're going to do self.surface.blit, sprite.surface, sprite.position. Obviously, we don't have any sprites in play at the moment. But what this blit does is it essentially draws to the screen. So we are drawing onto our window, which is our surface here, the surface of a sprite, so basically the image, in, you know, the position that we want it in, is what we're doing now. And we can just have def clear, and then we'll do self.surface.fill, and then we'll just fill it with 0, 0, 0. It doesn't really matter what color you fill it in, but we'll just fill it in like that for now. So next up, we want to create a client that we can kind of run all this stuff from. So we're going to go in and do, you know, client.py. I know we're branching out a little bit beyond the window at this point, but, you know, it's just easier to put it in here because I need to be able to show you what the window looks like. And we're going to import Pygame as PG again, and then we're going to from pygame.locals import everything. This is generally just a standard. You don't necessarily have to do it. If you want to do, say, like, I don't know, PGL, you can do that. I'm just going to do it like that. And then we're going to import Snek as well. So we're going to import the library itself. And then we're going to create a client. This is kind of where our main loop is going to be. So it's sort of like a central thing. And we need clock, we need window, we need scene, and we need underscore paused. I'll get to underscore paused in a much later video. And I'll get to scene in a later video as well, but we just want the first two at the moment. So we want self, and we'll define self.clock equals pg.time.clock, and then self.wnd equals snek.window, so we're actually creating the window now. And then we're going to pass through the window width, window height, and then the window caption. Of course, you can just import these things into the window and just do it like that, but you know, you can choose to do it however you want. And then we have run self. Well, essentially, if you think something could be done better, then do it better. Is the advice there. So while true, so this is our main loop, we have a frame delta, which is self.clock.tick times 1e minus 3. And yes, that is valid Python syntax. So this is the same as 0.001. It just looks a little nicer. And this frame delta is essentially the amount of time it took to, you know, process a single frame in milliseconds. So if frame delta is less than 0.1. Apparently, if it's greater than 0.1, it can cause some issues if you try and move the screen around. I haven't really tested that, but apparently that's a thing, and someone that knows a lot about it did it, so it's obviously something to do. And then we want to do self.window.clear each time, and then we want to do pg.display.update. Now I'm going to be coming back to this line as well before this video ends. So watch this space, and then we're going to have a stop script, stop self, pg.quit, so pg.quit. So this just quits out of Pygame, and then sys.exit exits the application, and this is assumed exit code 0. So this is all we need for now in terms of that. I think that's all the files we need as well. So we're going to go back into our snack.pyw, and we're going to do import Pygame. Do we actually need to import Pygame? We do. Import Pygame as PG, and then from snack import client, and then if name double equals main pg.init. So this initializes everything. This line is absolutely necessary. You need to do this at least before you create the window. And then we're going to have client equals client, and then client.run. And this is all we need to actually run the program now. So we can go down here, we can do Python, or however you run Python, your particular thing. If you're in a Venv, it's just Python. And then we do snack.pyw. And then we wait for the computer to catch up, and we got, oh, that's why. So this is what happens if you don't define the slots, or incorrectly define the slots, because it's expecting width and height, not W&H. And there we go, we have our window. We can't move it around, we can't close it at the moment either, it's just kind of crashed because it's not actually doing anything. We can close it with Control-C. If you double-click the PYW file, you will need to go into the task manager and get rid of that now. Well, I'll show you how to quit out of the window properly using the cross button in the next video, because we actually do have to handle the cross button manually, which is kind of a fun little thing. So I said I'll be going back to a few different lines of code, and this is me doing that now. So currently we are using software to render everything. So we've set the surface up in such a way that it's just all of its defaults, and it's setting up the software to actually render stuff. If you're rendering individual rectangles or individual rects, which we're not going to be covering in this series because, my god, it is a nightmare to work out. If I ever do work it out, I'll let you know. I'll do a video of it, but it's honestly just a pain to get it to do what you want it to do. So we're going to be leaving that for now. But if you're updating the whole screen, then using hardware rendering is actually a lot faster. Or at least a little bit faster. I think in testing it got me about an extra 20 or 25 frames a second on like the 400 and odd I was getting. So to do that, we can pass in some flags. So we do flags equals pg.hwSurface, and then use the pipe. So if you're in the UK, that is in between the left shift and the Z. If you're in the US, I believe that is above your enter key. I don't know why, that's an idiot place to put it, but whatever. That's as someone who's lived on UK keyboards, of course I'll be saying that. PG, and then we want pg.doublebuff as well. I believe this is optional, but this just allows for double buffing, which does things. It just makes it faster. It makes it better. I don't really know how SDL works in the background. But we also, to take advantage of this, we actually need to go back to the client. You see this pg.display.update. There is also pg.display.flip. Now, if you don't pass anything into the brackets, they appear to do exactly the same thing. However, there is a bit of a difference. So the update, you can pass a series of rectangles to update, and it will only update those rectangles. However, if you want to update the entire screen, then flip is slightly better because it uses hardware rendering, provided you provided the flags here. And if it's available on your current system, which, modern day computers it should be. Of course, if hardware rendering is not available, it will default to software rendering. But that is the difference between update and flip, and that is the reason we're actually using flip this time, because we're just always updating the whole screen, and flip is just a little bit better at it. So yeah, that's what I wanted to go back to talk about. But that's everything I wanted to talk about, I'm pretty sure. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or you can join the Discord server using the link in the description. But with that, I'd like to thank my amazing patrons who are on screen now. £1 a month, you can be on that screen as well. And I will see you next time where let me look at my plan because I've forgotten. Oh yeah, we're doing handling events. So, we're going to be handling keyboard presses and mouse clicks and, if someone clicks the cross in the corner. We're going to be doing all that next time. So I'll see you for that.